Time to immerse ourselves in nostalgia's 20 years just melt away now on BBC Two. David Cronenberg's Videodrome is at 10:35. After I Love the 80s kicks off with Prince Charming himself.
Hi, I'm Adam Ant, and this is 1981. On the 9th of May 1981, a song called Stand and Deliver went into the charts at number 1. 12 months earlier, Adam and the Ants were an underground punk band with a cult following. Now we were the most popular band in Britain. Everything felt right, everything felt fresh. The image, the videos, the sound. Nobody had ever seen anything quite like us before.
Adam Ant, oh my God.
What a beautiful, beautiful man he was. Absolutely gorgeous. And the fact that he was in a band and he was interested in me was fantastic.
Kings of the Wild Frontier is a great album.
They made some fantastic songs.
This is the first time we've done this in nearly 20 years.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
That twin drum beat that was a clarion cry for the youngsters.
To hear two drummers on stage and that Burundi beat, it really did take your breath away.
When I first met him, of course, he was just another struggling punk rock band on the scene. But, you know, little venue full of smoke and sort of dark. And then the Ants came on, and there was this bloke in full leather, rapist mask, the lot. I just went, oh, I can't believe this. I've never seen anything like it in my life. I was so much younger than Adam. It was not just a sort of girlfriend, boyfriend, because it was never as simple as that in those days. He wasn't just a lover, but he was also a mentor.
Well, I'd always consider myself to be in a punk band and sort of a punk artist.
I guess for anybody who really loved the idea of punk but didn't want to get into the spitting or the heroin or the snot, you know, Adam Ant was kind of a nice, pleasant alternative.
I suppose he was a bit of a transitional sort of period between punk and new romantic.
Right now, no show seems to be complete without a band called Adam and the Ants. The reason is because they're going on tour currently, and you'll see for yourself. Live on the show tonight, let's welcome hit 13, Dog Eat Dog.
Turning point for us was when we went on Top of the Pops and just did Dog Eat Dog.
I thought, God, top 5. I've never had a record anywhere near the top 50. I thought, right, we've got a foot in the door, and let's not take our foot out, for God's sake. The fan base changed, I guess, as the records started selling, but you don't see that because you only see that at concerts. We stopped a tour and it was kind of a pretty heavy punk audience, and 3 months later we'd do another tour and it wasn't a punk audience, it was all little girls. What's happened to the punks? Oh, thank God they've gone, you know.
It became evident that his audience was getting considerably younger.
Good morning.
Oh, good morning.
You've sent the place into total turmoil. We've got hundreds and hundreds of young ladies all ringing up and melting our phones.
Oh, dear.
I want to speak to him.
Stand and Deliver is about daylight robbery, you know, robbing people's attention as opposed to robbing their stuff.
I'm the dandy highwayman who you're too scared to mention. I spend my cash on looking flash and grabbing your attention.
I remember the dress I got from Berman and Nathan's belonged to Glenda Jackson. I think it was the first time I'd ever been on camera.
Stand and deliver the money of your life.
He was one of the first to use the then quite new medium of the promotional video to project himself.
Even though you fool your soul, your conscience will be mine.
Hardly anyone had videos, and it's very hard to convince record companies that videos were worth making because, well, they're very expensive. But somehow Adam convinced them.
Stand and Deliver, where it all went really pantomime and theatrical.
We're the dandy highwaymen, so tired of excuses, of digging in philosophies where only showbiz loses.
A lot of people said it was very carry-on.
Englishness was a big part of his aesthetic, I think.
And quite camp.
He opened doors for a lot of people like Boy George and people like that.
I have to say, Adam had fantastic vision. He had a great sense of what he thought was the next move.
Everything he seemed to do was so breathtakingly fresh.
Prince Charming. That was the most ludicrous of all of them, I think, wasn't it?
In one of his sort of sitting on the sofa, intensely writing sessions, he suddenly said, I've invented a dance.
I could do you the dance which went like that, you know. What? Everyone watching? Marcel.
He decided no one could dance to it, so I think he decided, well, he should invent his own dance that goes with it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And it was part of our identity.
We used to jump off the desks in special adamant mode.
He mixed up Louis XIV and Geronimo, and it was as if an alien came down and took the history of the world and went and then that was Adam Ant.
Their design and their style wasn't coming from the streets, it was something that was really contrived and made up.
How long did it take to get this new look together?
Well, thinking about it, I started thinking about it about 6 months ago. Everything I'm wearing is made by craftsmen, like the shoes are made by people that spent 30 years making shoes.
It basically came from Adam. He'd come in and we'd be rattling around rehearsing and getting some song going, and he'd say, right, perhaps we should look like this. And we went, yeah, okay, that sounds good.
We liked the glam rock side of things, with Rock's music, David Bowie, you know. I mean, it was totally normal to sort of, you know, put loads of makeup. You didn't even think about it.
We all knew how to do our own makeup, and we were very good at doing our own makeup.
You can see on the side we have the kiss curl, which you could draw with, you know, black eyebrow pencil.
Every time, you know, I dated somebody, or I'd sort of say, oh, would you slow down, let me watch that bit.
We have the beauty spots and the little red heart up here.
I feel absolutely certain that every single girl felt that love heart was drawn especially for them.
And then we've also done a gold line above his lips and right on the inside of the lips.
His lips were a bit glistening, weren't they? I've never liked that really in a man.
It caricatured very quickly.
As a pop phenomenon, you know, we're not supposed to go on for 10 years.
We just had one of the best followings, you know, that any band's ever had, anytime, anywhere.
I think he did ask me out for a date once as well, a couple of times. And he bought me chocolate mousse.
This is the best bit.
I think we'll take a break.
Have a break. Have a Kit Kat. What do you think?
You can't sing, you can't play, you look awful. You'll go a long way.
If you thought guys with medallions, Hawaiian shirts and dodgy black moustaches were a thing of the 70s, then think again.
Magnum was great. Magnum was the thing I used to absolutely love as a kid.
I mean, he was the colour of mahogany, and he looked like a block of flats in a posing pouch.
Magnum P.I. was a fellow who sported quite an impressive tash.
My mum was very keen on Magnum, I seem to remember.
All I remember about Magnum is trying to persuade my dad to paint his car in the same way that the helicopter was painted.
I would have loved to have had a moustache.
Hawaii Five-0 had just ended, and CBS wanted another detective show on.
Ski, Lieutenant Magnum.
Tom Selleck as a private eye in Hawaii. That was what they wanted.
I heard you're playing like a detective. Investigator, Ski. Private investigator.
This was Tom's last shot, so to speak. He had done 6 or 7 pilots, and none of them had gone forward, were successful.
I was thinking of myself as the king of the unsold pilot by then. I think Magnum was the 7th pilot where I had a lead in a television series if it sold, and it kept me I was a pretty well-kept secret.
Take me to 265 Kahului Drive. I ain't running no taxi service.
He wasn't a good private investigator. He was about the most stumbling, bumbling guy. And then he got these other 2 stumbling, bumbling guys, and only through their sincerity and belief in doing the right thing did they stumble and bumble on the right thing. A lot of our cases weren't solved.
Could you get me a little lower? If I wanted to water ski with this chopper, which I don't.
You don't look like a private eye.
Private investigator. I want to hire you to help me find my little sister, Carol Ann.
Why'd you come to me?
Well, you're a private investigator.
Yeah, I know. There are 37 private investigators in the Honolulu phone book. Why me?
It was a bit like Bergerac, wasn't it? It was island-related detective hijinks.
Don't know what to say. So you owe me one.
All that running around solving crimes, God, it'd be exhausting going with someone like that.
Were they all Hawaiian-related crimes? Like, someone's stolen my grass skirt, Magnum.
And at 2:30, you received a call from an hysterical woman who said the rabbit died. I thought that might get you.
Like I said, funny the things a grown man will do for a living. But I've done funnier.
When we got the pickup for the series, CBS and I had a lot of difficulties over elements of the series. Vietnam was one of them.
Magnum was an emotional show because you had a lot of Nam flashbacks. I think it was the first action show to have someone have a Nam flashback.
They recognized this as really the first show in American television that recognized Vietnam veterans in a positive light.
Water bug blue, this is Homeward Angel. You guys down there?
Here you had 3 veterans who weren't axe murderers, but they were pretty responsible human beings who adjusted to coming back out of the military.
Negative. We got a hook there near that river.
That was an essential element to motivate all these characters. So that was pretty neat.
They remember that helicopter. They remember the helicopter and the dogs.
Hi, guys. And I know they remember the Ferrari, the red Ferrari. And I know that they remember the dogs. And then they remember the cast. Thank goodness.
Ugh, I'm not conning you, Rick. If I was conning you, why would I ask TC along for lunch, too, huh? Here.
I don't know why we keep falling for this. This ain't no lunch.
This is a junk food break.
And the answer is still N-O.
Rick and TC and Magnum were Vietnam vets, and Higgins was a warrior, too, of another war. But they had this common bond, and they then just argued all the time, which is a sign that they were friends.
I've taken dozens of calls from virtually every scoundrel on this island, including tasteless, provocative messages from your floozy girlfriend.
Higgy baby.
He treated Magnum like a schoolboy, and he was the headmaster.
But Higgins, I don't know the first thing about gardening.
I assure you, the kind of work I have in mind requires no intelligence whatsoever.
Like what?
Like distributing 1,500 pounds of recycled vegetation that was delivered yesterday.
Recycled vegetation? What do you mean recycled vegetation? Recycled how?
Through a cow.
We said to Ferrari we wanted the cars. We wanted 2 cars, picture car, and one we could use for towing.
Don't look at the dogs, work the lock. Work the lock, work the lock. Don't look at the dogs. You looked at the dogs.
Ferrari wanted to charge us and so forth, so I threatened to put him into Porsche. We got our Ferraris.
Sometimes everything goes exactly as planned. Sometimes it doesn't.
I hated that car.
Yeah, I guess he did hate the car.
How can you be an undercover cop with the brightest car? Do you know that we basically had to put a Volkswagen engine up under that hood?
That's a horrible lie. Do you know there's a rubber band in this helicopter? That's typical what Roger would say it was a Volkswagen engine. I'm not surprised.
He never had no girls. He never had any girls driving around in that red Ferrari, did he?
Come on, one beer!
As you watch Magnum in later life, you suddenly realise maybe the moustache was a sign. Maybe it was a gay hotbed.
Higgins, you're a romantic.
Yes, I suppose I am.
And it was always very ambiguous, the relationship between Magnum and Higgins. And then these 2 big dogs.
Why didn't people just stop and say, Tom, why have you gone for this deliberately gay image?
I see he's still sporting a hefty brush above his lip.
Very much of the San Francisco circa 72 homosexual gentleman variety. However, he was much beloved by middle-aged ladies.
I'm so glad you never shaved that off. That's a beautiful brush.
I probably had the best time of my life. I really had. Actually, I might have had too good of a time.
I was having fun. But I didn't know how much fun I was having until I look back on it and say, boy, we had a ball there.
You know, I always considered it a major achievement that after 8 years we still spoke to each other, because a lot of television shows don't end up that way.
The event of 1981 was the royal wedding of Charles and Diana. At least it had a happy beginning.
The Princess of Wales' beautiful dress, designed by David and Elizabeth Emanuel, was copied and on sale in the shops only hours after she stood here on the steps of St. Paul's. And in Highfield, near Southampton, this is what 15-year-old Debbie Francis came up with. A fully disposable version made out of 10 plastic bags.
Well, it costs 19p for 4 plastic bags.
That means that a bride could be walking down the aisle in a dress that just cost her 19 pence. That's extraordinary.
Romance was in the air, but when it came to love in the 80s, size really did matter. The size of your Valentine's card, that is.
Very happy
Valentine's Day to you. Thank you very much indeed to everybody who's been sending in lovely works of art for the studio. We've been decorating the place. And we have our special Valentine's board here. There's a pretty one at the top. Isn't that nice?
Happy Valentine's Day!
It's our overacting spot.
When they begin, they begin.
Valentine's Day, I like to think of it as a sort of arid desert scape with some tumbleweed just blowing across. I never got any Valentines. I was like a little boy when I was a teenager. I never got any Valentines, I don't think.
It was really serious. You know, how many Valentine's cards did you get?
Gemma Burton got 12.
I used to send a lot of Valentine cards in the 80s.
I remember sending some Valentine's cards. I made one and it had loads of sweets in the shape of a heart. It had full-on chews on the front, and it was the heaviest card anyone's ever received.
I sent a Valentine's card to Hilary Thorpe, and I got somebody else to write in it. It was a fairly pathetic kind of heart shape with a teddy on it on a swing with another teddy, and they were holding hands. It was kind of, you know, came with a free vomit bag.
Did you spray perfume on it as well? Cheapo perfume. It was probably impulse. I just remember the oversized Valentine's cards. The bigger, the better. Like, if the postman can actually fit it through your door, forget it. It had to be the kind of thing that had to be brought up the path in a wheelbarrow and left on the step.
I don't think I got any squishy Valentine. I don't think I've ever got a squishy Valentine. I'm really going to cry now. This is really sad.
Being in the shop myself and thinking, but do I buy one back? Like, do you buy big ones for boys? Sealed with a loving kiss.
It was sealed with a loving kiss, and that had to be in big letters, swag.
There were loads of those things.
I love you, I love you, I love you, almighty. I wish your pyjamas were next to my nightie.
Holland, which stood for Hope Our Love Lasts and Never Dies.
I know that sometimes they were quite naughty.
There was one called Norwich, which was knickers off.
Ready when I come home? Oh, I was obviously led a very sheltered life.
But that's dreadful because knickers obviously starts with a K, so it'd be Corrich. There was one India, but I haven't got a clue what it stood for, even now.
I used to get one from my dad as well that was really annoying. It's like, Dad, I don't want one from you, leave me alone.
My brother always got them instead. He was the good-looking one of the family. Isn't that sad? Should I go home?
I'm sure there were kids who sent them to themselves. I wasn't one of them, thank God.
I once wrote myself a Valentine's card. I didn't bother disguising the writing, and I got bullied for about a week because I knew it was just me.
Did you post it to yourself?
Yes, I took great pride in it.
And I just can't get enough, and I just can't get enough.
Losing your virginity is a major priority for all teenage boys. In 1981, they got some help. A film that showed you just how it shouldn't be done, Porky's.
Edward, you'll be late to school. Edward Morris.
Porky's was, I guess, the first encounter that you'd have, if you're around my age, of essentially what was known as a blue movie.
That was a very teenage film, wasn't it? With nudity and, you know, a few things flapping around and stuff.
Young adult cheeky boys look at girls in the showroom with their bras off, talk about erections.
I remember the thought process of sex. I think that time you was very happy that you got a little glimpse of something, you know?
Wasn't it about humorous goings-on at a school, like American Pie?
Oh, boy.
turned me on. Yeah. Your parents didn't talk to you about sex, but the films used to discuss it how we spoke about it at school. Yeah. And I don't think it influenced you to go out and have sex, but I think it definitely made you feel a lot easier about yourself that, wow, okay, these other kids are feeling the same way. They want to do the same things. It was cool.
You guys, wait up!
The character I played, Pee-wee, you know, just basically what all 16-year-olds are doing at that age, and that's, you know, checking it out, checking the scene. And so that's what it was about.
Hey, what are you looking so glum about, Pee-wee? Look, man, this is getting serious. I gotta get laid.
The first movie, Porky's 1, basically was about a group of guys trying to get my character... Can you say laid on English, Davey? What's so funny about that character? He was just shed his clothes. He was there.
Okay, I'm ready. Gentlemen, this is Miss Cherry Forever.
My character in Porky's had the wonderful name of Cherry Forever, and I just couldn't turn down a part whose name was Cherry Forever. She was a con artist and pretended that she was kind of a gangbanger, but never actually did it. I think I was a big hit with boys between 13 and 15. Kind of get an excited look.
Okay, let's move it out. Yo!
Well, obviously a lot of people were offended by the movie and thought it was sexist. And I would disagree with that. I stand behind it. I think the women are the stronger characters in the movie, certainly stronger than the men.
Damn it, we missed them.
There was a shower scene, that's right. I couldn't even think if that was like, I just dreamt that up, but it was actually in... There was a shower scene.
Tommy, what are you doing?
Everyone used to talk about that all the time, constantly.
Hey, hold still, man.
That was the one that I chuckled at, when Nancy Parsons, who played Ballbreaker, and she sneaks up and got it, and he goes up against the wall.
She's got it!
It truly was a phenomenon in a lot of ways. My grandmother went and saw it. Oh, God, that was special.
Yes!
It touched a nerve. It was alive, and it was real, and it was that moment in time, and there wasn't a sincerity or an honesty to the work.
It was extraordinarily popular. The movie, people actually went to see that movie 3 and 4 times. And it became a cult film.
Porky's was an American film which, in my opinion, was just an excuse to show large-breasted women on the cinema screen for adolescent boys like me to sort of remember that and then go home and abuse ourselves over.
Pink suit, green door, a quiff and swivel hips. In 1981 he sold more records than HMV. Shakin' Stevens.
This old house is getting shaken. That's a belter, that one. When rock came back, it came back in the shape of a bloke from Wales.
What would have happened if Elvis Presley had come from South Wales? And the answer is, you would have got Shakin' Stevens.
I think they call Shaky an Elvis impersonator. It's just ridiculous. Shakin' Stevens, now he is a legend.
Along comes an artist who's filling a gap. I thought it was rather clever, really.
The one word I can use to describe Shakin' Stevens was wholesome.
He was what he was. It was just like you saw on the packet.
Shaky was good. He wasn't bad.
As a child, you really wanted music to mean something. You really wanted to get angry and really believe in music. Here comes Shaky, behind the green door.
I was writing songs about jungles of Jupiter and thunder in the mountains, and Shaky goes and releases one about a door. Please.
I'm sure there was a porn film called The Green Door. Maybe it was dirtier than we all thought. He's from Wales, after all. You know, they make their own entertainment there.
Door slam, hospitality's been
I can't recall if he had a green door, but he definitely had a house on Camden Road.
Where is he coming from? Rock and roll 50s, plays mum and dad music.
A world pop great.
It was just madness, really, wasn't it, when you look back? All that stuff about green doors. Look to him, is he still going? I bet he is. Yeah, good luck to him.
First there was Superman, then there was Batman, then came Spider-Man, and in 1981 there was Crumbs, Chief, it's Danger Mouse.
Dun 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 dun. Dee 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 dee.
Oh, I can do
dee
that.
dee dee dee.
He's the greatest. He's fantastic.
Wherever there is danger, he'll be there.
Danger Mouse. Da-da-da-da-da.
Danger Mouse. Astounding.
Danger Mouse. Dun, 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 dun. And the bomb blew up.
Always made Penfold jump. I loved it. And...
He was kind of like a divvy James Bond of mice, wasn't he?
Sorry?
I think Brian Cosgrove has said it was a kind of a spoof on James Bond.
I'm sorry, James Blonde?
This is how Danger Mouse looked when we were first working on him. It's completely different, based on James Bond. And we had a designer who came up with this white cat suit. And we had people saying, no, you can't just put him in white, he's got to have lots of colours. But we kept him in white and we didn't care.
Oh dear, I do hate hanging about.
Then when you get a writer involved, and when you get a voice like David Jason...
Honey, I thought I heard voices.
That becomes the character.
Oh, nobody loves me. Everybody hates me.
Danger Mouse was strangely sexy. I think it was his sort of smooth head and really huge ears.
No one's talked about Fifi, because I never knew anyone called Fifi. I didn't know she lived at 26 Lodge Lit, and I had a bum.
Why wouldn't you want to go out with Danger Mouse? I don't understand.
London, home of the Cockney, the Winkle Stall, the Thames Gas Board, and, in a quiet Mayfair pillar box, the world's greatest detective, Danger Mouse, and his faithful assistant, Penfold.
Oh, no, Chief. Remember me catching this man-eating shark in the Bahamas? Shall I ever forget? I was the bait. Next slide, please. Oh, crumbs.
And casting Terry Scott as Penfold was a brilliant move.
Here, my brother and my friends have found a way to make 3 pence last forever.
One of his early characters was a very silly child, like a baby brother. And Terry adapted this for Penfold, and it was perfect.
Oh, curly whirly. It out-chews. Yeah, that's what it does. It out-chews everything for 3 pence.
He used to come into the studio in the mornings with a reasonably normal voice, sit at the microphone and pump himself up. And he got squatter and fatter and redder. And his voice started to say, oh, good grief. Oh, good grief. Oh, crumbs, Chief. Oh, crikey.
Ooh, crumbs. Crumbs.
Crumbs, Chief.
Oh, crumbs, and me with a sore arm.
Oh, he was dead cute, wasn't he, Penfold?
Penfold might have been Danger Mouse's sidekick, but Terry Scott was damned if he was going to be David Jason's sidekick.
It's no use, Penfold. If only you had that spanner I gave you for Christmas. Do you mean this one, Chief?
So the way that they tried to steal the show between them, although absolutely professional and not upsetting the show, was quite amazing, and it brought out the best in both of them.
How are you going to get us out? I am going, Penfold, to use my head. Oh, Chief, didn't that hurt? No, didn't feel a thing.
So you had kind of these normal animals that made sense in this very normal sort of London setting, and then these just absurd storylines.
I think we broke the mould a little. I think the surrealism and the oddity that we put into the shows was a bit of a surprise, I think.
Crumbs, Danger Mouse! What's the matter? Someone's broken in and pitched our washing machine. I wouldn't be too sure. That hole was made from inside, as if the washing machine broke out. Broke out? Ah, that'll be Colonel K.
London's been invaded.
Invaded? But who?
Washing machines, DM.
Do you know, sir? For a minute, I thought you said washing machines.
I did. Hundreds of washing machines. Look at this. Reports are coming in of the blessed things breaking out of hundreds of kitchens and ganging up in central London.
Good grief.
I didn't believe in talking down to children, and Cosgrove Hall didn't believe in talking down to children.
I'm going into a 7th level yoga hopping trance. Oh, crumbs, Chief. I'll go all goose pimply. Oh, fiddle. 7th level. He could be up and about for days. Whoops. Whoop.
They were little animals, and they used to come out of their underground den, like driving that little car by the telephone box, the post box.
Come on, Penfold.
That actually was a standard scene. It saved us doing animation again and again and again.
The Mark III. Yes, nice car. Pity about the co-driver. Oh, crumbs, couldn't you go a bit slower, could you, please? Sorry, Penfold. Got to get to the North Pole.
The other way to cope with the shortage of money was there were lots of adventures in the Arctic because that was all white, so there was hardly any background to paint.
And my suits were Savile Row, not thermal underwear, thank you.
But ahead of our heroes in the frozen wastes of the Arctic, Greenback is plotting evil.
Fire, idiot!
Or they were trapped in a cellar or a cave somewhere with no lights on, so all you saw were 3 eyes. Penfold's 2 and Danger Mouse's 1 blinking in the gloom for about 30 seconds, which is astonishingly cheap.
Cool. I hope it stays dark. Why is that, Penfold? So I can't see the ghosts.
There was something there for everybody, you know. It was a rich but mad Christmas pudding.
Can Danger Mouse and Penfold survive this latest peril? Tune in for the next exciting episode of...
To answer these fundamental questions, we've asked a bicranial philosopher to begin by comparing the solar system's leading chewing gum with New Omega. Omega is softer than ordinary gum, but most importantly, the flavour lasts for eons.
Which gum has the longer-lasting flavour?
Well, Professor?
The taste of the ordinary gum has totally ceased to exist.
But the delicious flavour of New Omega is going on and on.
Splendid. But what is the meaning of life?
That one I am still in 2 minds about.
New Omega chewing gum, the longest-lasting flavour in the known universe.
You know, in 1981, top executives clearly did not have enough work to do.
Those dreadful balls. Balls always stick out in my mind somehow.
Executive toys. What, those sort of chrome-plated things with little balls?
What? And why?
Well, I suppose it's fair to say that I guess I started the madness. In this monstrous thing here that everyone loves to hate, which is Newton's cradle, we call it ball race. It was originally developed by an American in wood, and we decided that it was something that would work in chrome and steel. It performs absolutely no function whatsoever. It is fascinating. It demonstrates Newton's first law of motion, which is every action has an equal opposite reaction. It's about the only bit of science I know. So that when you pull one ball back, there's only enough energy to push one out the other end. If you pull 2 back, it has the energy for 2.
Yeah, Dad had one of those. I used to love it. He had them probably because he had an office in the house, because he's a surgeon, so he used to have a consulting room at home. He probably got them so that his patients would walk in and go, oh, he's obviously kosher. He's got exec toys on his desk, you know.
Designing toys for executives is a bit of a hit-and-miss business. You can't be sure what will appeal to their fertile minds. But one thing is certain, they love to play games.
You'd start to wonder, I wonder who bought this? I wonder if he bought it? Or did his secretary buy it? Desperate to think of what to give him for Christmas.
Well, there's a growing industry which believes that the way to the heart of a businessman like Lord Curtin is through his executive toy. Everything from electronic gadgets and executive red tape to board games called Ulcer and Rat Race.
We used to play with them, though. I wasn't allowed to. I used to sneak in there and have a play. They were only interesting for 2 minutes, though, weren't they? If that, really.
Kids would realise immediately that they were crap and sort of not steal them.
Today we're selling things like this, which is a giant match lighter, It's a very surreal piece of humour. You took the end off and there was a cigarette lighter. We couldn't sell this 10 years ago. There was no market for something as strange and bizarre as that. Completely ridiculous, totally absurd, absolutely no need for it.
What else was there? Was there the thing where you pushed your face into it, or was that later?
Dynamite lighter we have in this pocket.
So, what was... Hold on. What, you did that?
And this was something else that we did in about the same time, which was called oscillation.
Things that kind of waved on your desk, I'm not sure what they were.
Piano wire with magnets on the top that are repelling each other.
I can't make it work.
The Mercury Maze is the latest in a long line of bestsellers. This firm has already sold 40,000 at £4 a time.
Mercury Maze, you can see that one, which was couldn't make this anymore, it would be completely illegal.
You've got the piece of mercury floating about, and if you're not careful, it kind of splits and breaks up into all different sections. I can't imagine spending much time sitting with this without trying to take it apart.
Oh, yeah. That's great, isn't it?
The thing is, truthfully, that really, in the 80s, bad stuff sold as well.
They're like a joke that someone keeps telling you again and again and again until you want to kill them.
We like to think we were ahead of our time. I suspect in some ways we were. And this is about as silly as we get, which is a nail through the head. It's a very old joke. But we eventually became behind our time and gave up.
In '81, Kim Wilde burst onto bedroom walls. Girls wanted to be her and boys wanted to be with her.
What a year it has been for Kim Wilde. Kids in America went to #2 earlier this year. Here she is now.
When I saw Kim Wilde, I went wild, in fact. She was amazing. She was beautiful.
She was blonde, she was good looking, she danced and jiggled along.
We're the kids in America. We're the kids in America. Whoa.
Everybody lives for the music around.
All my mates fancied Kim. It was a nightmare.
Bright lights and music is faster.
Kids in America, for me, was this complete fantasy. I'd never been to America, and everyone said, why are you saying Kids in America? I didn't really have a very good answer, except I thought it was a fantastic pop record.
Hot shot, give me no problems. Much later, baby, you'll be saying never mind.
I wrote Kids in America in about half an hour, no longer than that. It was really quick. Me and Dad just sat down one night in the front room and I had my little Wasp synthesizer whacking away, and it just suddenly came.
We're the kids in America. We're the kids in America.
It was kind of very hard sounding and very sparse sounding, and it worked for 1981 very well.
The title was the most important thing to me. Above everything else, the title, because without a good title, there's no point in having a great melody.
Who were these kids in America? She wasn't one of them. She wasn't even a kid in Britain.
We're the kids in America. Well, you're not though, are you? You obviously are the kids from Basel.
Kids in Hertfordshire didn't have quite the same ring.
We're the kids in America. We're the kids in America.
We got a call from Mickey Most, who was producer, saying, I've got this record leaping up the charts and I need a video for it, and I need it day after tomorrow. When we started to shoot, she got terribly nervous and slightly overwhelmed by it all. So I sent the crew over the pub and got somebody to get us 2 bottles of wine and got those down there.
I remember making quite a few videos with Brian. Yeah, he was a mad, bad and dangerous to know.
We've got Kim Wilde for you now at #4, see?
Don't remember anything about Checkered Love. I don't remember how the concept came up or anything. All I do remember was there was a shower in it. I was determined to put Kim in a shower.
Brian was asking me to do sort of clench my fists and stuff under the shower. And I still, to this day, don't know really what that was supposed to mean. I did it, of course, as directed.
Eyes and lips, yes.
fantastic mouth to look at. No, absolutely. She's a very, very sexy girl. But, I mean, she knew how to make love with the camera.
I remember sort of having this sort of connection with the camera, which I found surprisingly easy to do, and to watch it and to look at it and to dare it and flirt with it.
There was a slight distance to her as well, which I thought was quite interesting.
It was just Kim moving around. She could have been singing in a different language. I just was besotted by Kim Wilde.
Cambodia followed that. I do remember that. I think I'd watched Apocalypse Now too many times and had delusions of being a movie director.
Cambodia was definitely a high point. The beginning of the first verse goes, "Well, he was Thailand-based," which is one of the greatest opening lines in pop.
Well, he was Thailand-based, she was an Air Force wife.
He used to fly weekends. It was the easy life.
Easy life. I guess you'll never know what got inside her soul. She couldn't make it out, just couldn't take it off.
Doing Cambodia was pretty scary because I was like lying on the floor and this huge fat boa constrictor thing was slithering all over me, and a tarantula was sort of dropped. And I was like, oh, never again. I should never work with those animals again.
I was so petrified about being a one-hit wonder. I just made sure that I kept writing and coming up with ideas, and thankfully it worked okay.
Kim, to begin with, was this wonderful girl next door image, and then she slowly became a real sex bomb later in the decade.
But of course, I was growing up in front of the public, and I you know, there were some major faux pas, I think, stylistically speaking, and I think one of the ones that I'm least happy with, and I knew it at the time, but I thought I'll give it a go, and it was this sort of had a sort of a bondage vibe going to it.
I just thought she was absolutely, you know, sex on legs. She was gorgeous. She always wore things that I could never get away with, you know, like black leather dresses.
I remember my contemporaries very well because we were all vying for the same spots, and one of them, of course, was Toya, one of them was Hazel O'Connor, and one of them was Claire Grogan from Altered Images. She was my favourite. I thought she was beautiful. I was actually quite jealous of Claire Grogan.
Her image did swivel around a bit. I was much happier with the very first time she ever came out. That's the way I saw her.
When she was hot, and nobody knows how long that's going to last.
I had the career I wanted, and I never felt that I was cut short just because it wasn't more, it wasn't like someone else's, or it wasn't as big as so-and-so's. It was just what I wanted.
I often wonder, now she's a gardener, sort of professional gardener, if she's still got that old stripy t-shirt that she used to wear, because people do keep old clothes for the garden, don't they?
When Alexander of Macedonia was 33, he cried salt tears because there were no more worlds to conquer. Eric Bristow was only 27.
In 1981, I won everything. I mean, I was the only player to ever do it. I won the World Cup singles, I won the News of the World, I won every world title there was.
Up he goes like a rocket. There's the winner, Eric Bristow.
Eric played the bad guy.
Well, he's mouthy, rude, but most of it was all show.
Yeah, they either loved me or they hated me. There was no in between about it.
We found darts players then who were just outrageous characters.
To win 57 double 11.
They drank a bit. They were larger than life. Chunky, in fact,
Apart from being a crowd favourite, I've seen women down in a couple of lagers or a couple of snowballs quick to get to the front seats because they had them, not saying the hots, but the warms for jockey. I don't know what makes women turn on, but cuddly, vulnerable, but jockey used to turn them on.
Does it? I get all the old ladies. It's my luck.
Dart players drink.
Game on. So it's Fat Belly to go first. And it's a good start. Double vodka.
You don't walk into a pub, get your darts out, go on a dartboard and have a throw. I mean, the first thing you do when you walk into a pub is you go to the bar and order a drink.
It's a double brandy. And another double brandy. Can he make it 3 doubles on his very first go? He's done it. That's 140 milligrams. 140 milligrams.
It's like cigarettes and matches, I suppose, or fire and water. They go together.
After a couple of beers, you tend to relax and you can play a bit of darts.
He's going for a triple scotch. That'll help. That'll keep him in the game.
So I can play darts without a beer, but I wouldn't feel as good.
And, would you believe it? It went in, but it's come out again.
It was great to switch on at night. We had kebab and watch the drinking. It was the first time a working class subculture had really exploded on the box.
Sunday afternoon, around about 4:30, nothing else on the telly, bit of bully. It was class.
It was like waiting for Godot with caravanettes. It was so bleak.
It was a show for sadists.
It was postmodern structuralist.
Probably Marquis de Sade's only venture into game show.
If you played a kind of a sombre music over the top of it and just redubbed it, it could be quite a harrowing, moving thing.
If Samuel Beckett had done a game show, it would have been like Bullseye.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you welcome your host for the evening, Jim Bowen?
Thanks very much. You're very kind. Lovely. Thank you. Welcome to Bullseye. It's a game about the nation's most popular indoor sport.
You knew his career was over, in the nicest way, and he'd managed to kind of get onto this weird darts-based game show.
It's a game about general knowledge and about the skill of dart playing, and it's a game which involves the winning of cash and some super prizes.
I watched it, I thought, this is awful. And the game was excellent. It was just me, I was just horrendous.
Let's get on with it and let's introduce the first couple tonight who want to play with us in Bullseye.
From Port Talbot in South Wales, Alan Lation and Di Davis.
The first show that went out set the television industry back 20 years.
Come on, young sir, all the way from Barnsley. See what Yorkshire here at stake, the whole of Yorkshire watching you. That's great. Yes, sit down.
It was a silly game, Bullseye, and Jim Bowen was nervous as hell, always was.
Good to see you with us. Yeah, are you a bit nervous? Just a little bit. Oh, you mustn't be nervous. Don't worry about it. We can always do it again if it goes wrong. Don't worry about it.
I was looking for my light on the camera, you know. Where am I? What's next? I'm looking for autocue. I'm looking for God, basically, assistance, anything. John the Baptist would have done on half-day closing.
And what's going to happen now, this board is going to revolve, and when it turns round, you'll see exactly what I mean by general knowledge.
Bullseye was Christmas party at Crossroads Motel with a shaky scenery.
And you see, when you see this super board, that it's not a normal dartboard.
No frills, no sophistication at all. Very hard to watch as a consequence, but just incredible as a piece of theatre in its own right.
Diane.
I'd like to try a £30 question on books, please.
£30 question on books. And he's done very well for you there. He's got your £10 question on myths. That's very good, then.
It was always questions at the top.
Right, £10. What did Medusa have in place of hair?
Wriggling snakes.
Exactly right for £10, so you say.
And it would whittle it down till there was one couple left.
Well, wasn't that a Titanic struggle? It really was, but you did superbly. You really did very well. Nothing to be ashamed of there.
Jim Bowen hands out a bunch of used tenors.
Well, you've done all right, really. You haven't done too badly. You've got £30 there.
10. 20, 30.
This is better than the YTS, isn't it? Eh?
This is a brass chalk holder.
And a souvenir chalk holder, which you can put your chalk into, do your adding up. And the same for you, Gordon. Thanks very much indeed. It's been lovely having you with us.
And we used to give them these unashamedly. We weren't embarrassed about it. We said, and there's your brass chalk holder. They say, oh, thank you, really, very good.
So, ladies and gentlemen, real encouragement for Ike Bristow here as he throws for charity.
You've got this big wooden surround with this dartboard in the middle, and the dartboard was like 8 inches too high.
Amazing. It's doing all our dart players all over England a world of good, this, Eric. It really is.
And none of them was the right height. They didn't get that right for 3 years because they didn't have the budget to put it right.
What's that? What's his catchphrase?
A little poem, just to remind you, keep out of the black and in the red.
Nothing in this game for two in a bed.
Nothing in this game for two in a bed.
Great rhyme.
It was the bit when they called out the prizes around the scoreboard when they were in one.
In one. It's a stand-up for its freedom. In five.
A fine bunch who will keep getting on top of each other. A nest of tables.
In 2, a brush to sweep the motorway up.
In 2.
Sparkling craftsmanship in these sherry glasses and decanter.
And we used to say, a cafetiere.
I never knew what a cafetiere was, but it was a coffee pot. In 3.
A smile at every station from this friendly electric train set.
In 3, a curly-whirly ruler.
In 7.
Shout hoop hoop hooray. It's a croquet set.
Rubbish, rubbish.
And Bully's special prize.
That's the bullseye. Right in the middle. You got it. That's the Thames dinner. That's a fabulous prize.
You've won this, you've won a toast, you've won that. And do you want to gamble all that? You've got the time until the board revolves to decide if you're going to go for the star prize.
Consider a gamble. Gamble the prizes you've got there, that armful of prizes, against tonight's star prize, which is hiding behind Bully. You've got the time it takes the board to revolve to tell us what you'd like to do.
When these people turn around and go, no, we're not going to gamble for the boat or the car, whatever it might be, because they don't know yet, that's the worst thing, it's torture.
You've got the time it takes the board to revolve to tell us what you'd like to do.
These are people who genuinely could do with a toaster. And they're going, do you want to risk your toaster for something that you would never, ever afford in your life?
Are you going to gamble that, the 101 or more with 6 darts, 3 apiece?
They're going, oh, toast in the morning or a car. Oh, no.
No, absolutely, categorically. Go on, boys, off you go.
That's humiliating. That is actually humiliating.
You're going to have a go. You're going to have a gamble. Come on.
I think the non-darts player had to go first. There was always a complete spanner. They were everywhere.
Oh, that's the one, but that's the gamble.
I'll show you what you would have won.
I've got to say, look at what you could have won.
Oh, what? Don't show me what I would have won. Take it away. I didn't win it.
And they always won speedboats and water skis.
Oh, there it is. It's a superb speedboat.
What use is a speedboat and a water ski to most people, to anyone, really?
What you want in a game show is loads of money coming out the ceiling. You're off to Barbados with Dale Winton. Not on Bullseye.
This is for tonight's star prize. 101 or more.
And at the end of the programme, if you think about it, all human frailty lay there at the end. There was greed.
That's 20.
Envy, weakness.
That's 40.
Bottle. Satisfaction, joy.
That's 40.
Despair. Everything was there in that last 2 minutes.
Nice and steady. That's it. Tonight's star prize. Come and have a look at it. Marvellous. Have a look at it. Come on. Up you go. Look at that.
Ask anybody who went on Bullseye. It was a great day for them. Fabulous day.
Great. Smashing. Super.
The British eat more biscuits per head than any other people in the world. We chomp our way through over 500,000 tonnes a year.
The early 80s, it was the age of the chocolate biscuit, wasn't it?
Biscuits were cool. The biscuits in? No.
Taste is a very individual thing. At research and development laboratories, they experiment endlessly in pursuit of that most elusive of all essences, popular taste.
On special days, I'd get a United bar.
How do you persuade a nation of biscuit eaters to eat even more? By advertising.
My name is Stan.
The interesting thing about any chocolate snack is the promise of them, and that comes in the theme tune. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Chocolate flavoured coating comes first in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then crunch into light, crispy rice.
Wagon wheels, though, were brilliant.
4 wheels on my wagon.
I started to think there was a funny flavour of them once too. There was a kind of butterscotchy layer in the middle too. That was good.
2 wheels on my wagon, and I'm sure hungry. A wagon wheel. It's an epic experience.
Wagon wheel's okay, but an orange club is just what it's all about. It's the taste, the chocolate, the biscuit on the inside, then the orange, it just tops it off. I love Orange Club.
I'll be munching and crunching and munching by a club.
I suppose biscuits became part of British culture because tea was. There is something about a proper British tea-dunking biscuit.
Drink's too wet without one. The pop music scene and the fashion scene have been influenced by a new youth cult, the New Romantics or the Blitz Kids.
1981 was the year it began for all you old romantics.
Well, everyone's wondering what the next big thing is. They felt that they'd discovered it here at this club called the Blitz. Excitedly, documentary makers and photographers from all over the world were coming down and lining up outside to see what was going on. I saw the most baroque, exotic, decadent-looking people that I'd ever witnessed before. All my age, all about 20, 21, 19. It was a place that I felt I could belong to. This was my chance, because I was too young for punk.
I mean, we consider ourselves as being the most modern dressers and thinkers in London at any given time. I know it's very conceited, but it's just the way we feel.
Spandau at the beginning, was very much into, that baroque look of lots of stuff thrown around our neck.
The new romantic look was all about looking as theatrical as you possibly could. It was very much an art school look, so it was about raiding vintage shops and theatrical outfitters.
People would dress up as, Henry VIII. People would dress up as Elizabeth I. People would dress up as, whoever. And they believed that. And it wasn't just something that they wore at night. It was something they wore during the day.
The more black there was, the more lace there was, the more bow lips and gaunt cheekbones, the more I thought I looked absolutely stunning, like you do.
She's a model and she's looking good.
Chinese slippers, I seem to remember, were big.
Instead of ballet shoes, we put these Chinese slippers on, or these kind of $1.99 woolies plimsolls, worn with a kind of pair of customised jodhpurs, with a really flouncy white shirt, a very feminine white shirt, and a band around my head.
The north of England's not noted for the climate in which you can wear Chinese slippers often.
A big part of knowing that you'd really kind of got the look was the fact that ordinary people in their civvies would hang out of cars and just laugh their heads off or be really abusive. And that was there was quite a lot of status to that, because you could just think, well, I'm way ahead of fashion and you have got no idea.
Well, I just think that it looks rubbish. It's the only answer for it.
I'm a bit conservative, really, I'm afraid. But,
why?
Just always have been, Sorry.
I don't feel I'm part of the normal run-of-the-mill rat race. I don't want to be, put it like that.
One of the things that I did like about the period was this whole idea of what was called gender bending. Male artists seemed to be able to step out of the normal masculinity and become sort of feminine, or a different kind of masculine.
The makeup was very theatrical. The first thing that it was about was putting a very white base on, and there would be a canvas to do anything in. Your zigzags and this kind of very geometric early 80s art of bright coloured zigzags, putting them everywhere, highlighting the eyes with zigzags going up to the hair, joining the hair to the eyes.
The women's toilets were packed with men. You could not make your way to the cubicles, and if you did, you had to fight through these kind of enormous sort of hairstyles and the stench of hairspray.
Hairspray gave us an option on the quiff that we'd never had before.
Boys with nice big hair and eyeliner on.
I think the term was pretty boy at the time.
These were guys who were totally straight but dressed like a girl to pull girls. It was as simple as that.
I think that's lovely.
We never wore makeup. We'd wear a little bit of makeup doing TV, as everyone did, but we weren't really a makeup band. Certainly Duran wore makeup.
Good evening, welcome to Top of the Pops. On the programme tonight, Phil Collins, The Who, Motorhead and Adam and the Ants. And spinning like an apple just outside the top 40, Duran Duran.
We were interested in wearing makeup and dyeing our hair because we were Bowie fans, And when the rest of the guys came on board, they were like, that looks like fun. Andy in particular, he was a real, Denim Herbert, like Thin Lizzy. And he looked at us and thought, oh, yeah, I'll dye my hair. Nick's probably the exception. Once the coherent look was established, Nick would sort of rebel against it and, stand out.
There was a whole variety of new romantic dances that I used to enjoy.
Usually we had such enormous headgear or such major hairdos that too much movement and it would all fall off.
Wearing lots of bangles right up to your elbows and doing this, like looking very earnest with it. And then perhaps a mime-like whip-cracking gesture while you pranced in a stately fashion. Head in the air, lots of air up the nostrils.
When Visage come on, we do that.
It wasn't fun. It was very uncool to look like you're having too much fun.
That was the whole idea. You didn't smile, you just tried to look like you were dead cool.
Just going into a club and posing for a couple of hours.
New Romantics were posers. That's what we were about. We sort of invented the term.
Before the 80s, pencil cases were just for pencils. In 1981, opening your pencil case was like opening Pandora's box.
Smelly rubbers! Smelly rubbers, yeah.
Yeah, strawberry one I had. Yeah, you rub them and... Well, we used to smell them all the time.
You don't happen to have a rubber, do you?
Michelle, you wanted a rubber?
If you have one, yes, it would be very nice, please. Because, you see, I've got this...
Status symbol, how many smelly stickers and rubbers and nice pencils you had.
But I never had them. These girls used to sit behind me and all that, and they had a banana one, and he used to smell great, and he used to go, let me have a sniff of your rubber for a bit. You know what I mean? And I just sit there at the end while I'm writing.
There's a set of teeth.
Have you got any of those smelly ones?
Yeah, I've got a little cologne one there.
And that smells of cologne, does it? Let's have a smell. Oh, yeah, it's lovely. Oh, yeah, I'll put some of that behind.
My mum used to hate the smelly rubbers because people were eating them.
Let's encourage children to put things in their mouths they're not supposed to.
It was like a strawberry one. It was only a little block left because I've been using it like that. And I stuck it up my nose, but just to stick there in the rim of my nose so I could sniff it and everything. And he went, you know, I got stuck there. And I couldn't get it out, and I was trying to blow it out in the end. All the class was gathered around my table trying to get this rubber out my nose. That's no one to do a band in the end.
There's just one thing. You haven't seen a pencil anywhere, have you?
Food imitation was quite a vogue in the early 80s, 81.
Totally kitsch, unbelievably kitsch, but usually had a kind of theme of combining a rubber or a pencil or a piece of notepaper with a food stuff.
We created little chip sharpeners, hamburger magnets, which children swapped around, little French fry pens, and of course the idea of fast food was catching on in a big way.
When you're in love, you know you're in love. A lot of people had that matching a crunchy pencil case and a crunchy ruler and all that. You might as well
it was a really big thing, wasn't it? And it was always like the rich kids at school had the nicest stuff.
The big thing that I remember, though, was the enormous set of felt tip pens.
And actually arrange them in the correct order, which is like a faded rainbowy kind of... Like that, really?
You spent hours putting them in the right order.
And if someone would borrow your green, or any other colour, and they pressed too hard on it, the nib would go in. So rather than being like that, it was like that. And then you couldn't really write it, because the plastic on the pen would scratch the paper. And there's always some really smelly kid who'd borrow your pen and chew the end of it and press the thing in and give it back. And then what you had to do, if you wanted to use the green, you had to bite the back off, right, and catch worms from the back of the thing from him. Bite the back off, tap the pen out, get the inside out, the spongy bit, with a little plastic bit around it to stop you getting ink on your hands. But then, in actual fact, there was ink on the outside of it, so it didn't have any effect. And then use that as a colouring in, and then you found out you could actually colour in 4 times as much, as quickly, but you'd go over the edges. So it was like, you know, quantity, not quality.
And you weren't allowed to use them at school anyway. They always used to make you use crayons. It's ridiculous.
Back that book.
Back that book.
Back that book.
Back that book. Was that about covering your books? Yes, absolutely. Stickers.
What?
Back that book.
Back that book.
You'd make the book a sort of black, shiny colour or whatever, and then onto that you put stickers. You'd cut out things.
My bedroom was done out with brick wallpaper, so that's the offcuts that I had on my book, so it looked like I was carrying bricks to school. Yeah.
If you came in and your exercise book was back with flowery wallpaper, you've had it for the rest of the year. That's it.
I didn't have any wallpaper, so I just used a magazine. I had a meat advert from Sainsbury's, so I just had a big leg of lamb on my physics book. And I think the teacher was quite impressed. I thought it was like the Andy Warhol of my physics class.
So what would you do if you heard the 4-minute warning? It was the most asked question of the early 1980s.
If there had been a 4-minute warning when I was a kid, I'd have run around the street screaming incoherently, I suspect. I would have had one last go on my computer game.
I was going to get up, run across the hall, snog Hilary Thorpe, and then jump out of the gym window.
But the thing is, I had a BBC Model B then, and it would have taken me 4 minutes to load up a game.
You're on the bog, you're knackered, aren't you, really?
Just a little red button. I wonder what the red button does.
No, it was scary, yeah, I forgot about that.
It was America and Russia, wasn't it? Playing a tug of war. It's like the Frankie Goes to Hollywood 2 Tribes video, exactly that.
After a nuclear war, the whole of Europe could become a vast, uninhabitable desert.
At the time when I was 12, I was just really, really scared.
The day has been marked by a number of demonstrations up and down the country.
All I did in the early 80s was anti-nuclear demonstrations.
Wandering about with Stop Nuclear Madness Now t-shirts on, and I should have been playing conkers and, you know, spitting and things.
3 days before the feared attack, the government will order the broadcasting authorities to transmit a series of official films telling people what to do.
You had protect and survive, you had this kind of leaflet, you had this whole duck and cover mentality where any moment you were ready to sort of leap underneath your school desk and, you know, wait for 3 minutes for it to all be over.
And it's that siren, the siren wailing. Ugh, really horrible. That puts chills down my spine, that sound, the sirens. Knowing that you've got to get down into the cellar with your tins of food and stuff.
We asked a Yorkshire family to build a fallout shelter following the government-recommended design.
They did actually explain what it was for, and I just knew that if there was ever this bomb drop, that we would go down there and hopefully it would save us.
I remember Cecil coming home and saying it would be a jolly good idea
to have this bunker?
In my naivety, I thought I could actually save my family.
We knew that we weren't really supposed to go down there, but when you're young, you do, don't you? When someone says don't, you do. The temptation's there even more.
The main thing was make sure someone stops at the top so the lid doesn't come down and get locked in.
Do you really think it's wise to bring the dog in with you?
Well, with a 10-year-old daughter who thinks the world of the dog, we've no alternative.
The protect and survive thing was so ridiculous, and actually it wouldn't save you from anything, actually.
Protect and survive.
Neil, could you let me what are you doing?
Painting myself white to deflect the blast.
Prepare yourself now by storing all the things you need.
Oh, no, not on the roof, man. Put it in the food zone. Anyway, it's got to be tinned if it's going to last 10 years of fallout.
Since it can be carried for great distances by the winds, no place in the United Kingdom is safer than any other.
And it was a very real thing. I mean, now I think there's a whole generation of people now that would never, would never have heard of protect and survive or anything to do with, how to survive a nuclear blast.
The reality of nuclear war was brought home in a shocking TV drama. Nobody could sleep after watching Threads.
People were saying, well, we might even be able to win a nuclear war. And I thought, these people have no idea what they're talking about. One thing that television can do is kind of bring all the documentary evidence to bear, show them exactly what it would be like, bring home to everyday people what it would mean to them.
He wanted an ordinary family to be involved. People who, the fellow worked, I think he worked at the steel works, and they lived in a terraced house, and they got 2 children and a cat and a dog, and so by doing it that way, it was everybody's family.
Bible.
Never mind what it means, you'll get on with your game, it's nothing to do with you.
There was no counselling offered. Nobody came and, gave me sugary tea and sat me down and rubbed my head and said, don't worry, you're not really going to die.
We've started fighting, Mum. Who has? The Americans and the Russians. It's just been on the news. My dad says you've got to come home now. Hey, you haven't paid for them things!
Jesus Christ, they've done it.
We were all talking about it at school the next day, and I think that halfway through I'd simply gone, oh, this is too much, I'm turning over.
I came to a rather sticky end. I was blown up in an aviary in the back garden.
Michael!
I think I was probably the only person in my class to actually see to the very end of the film. Most of the people who I went to school with went to bed after I'd died, which was, fair enough.
All I remember is these shots of people roaming across this sort of tattered landscape in rags while the nuclear winter began to descend, upon Britain.
The fact that it was very bleak, that it was a woman that took you through the chaos, I think made it far more poignant.
Is it safe to eat?
Well, we've no choice, have we, unless we want to starve to death. It had an incredible impact. I mean, the day after, I can remember it was on the front page of newspapers.
Very uncomfortable, but groundbreaking TV.
There was a cartoon in the Times a couple of days later with 2 characters reading a newspaper, and the headline was Reagan's peace speech. One was saying to the other, do you think he saw Threads?
This is the car of the year 1981, the new Ford Escort. It was chosen by an international jury for its aerodynamic efficiency, its high performance, its handling and road holding. The new Ford Escort, car of the year 1981.
So, it's 1981 and you're a lanky, spotty lad who's just discovered girls. You fancy Dee Hepburn, but she's into sports and football. Her mate, however, Claire Grogan, fancies you, and she's in the charts. And yet, you're still not quite sure. What do you mean you're not sure if you fancy Claire Grogan?
I had a crush on Claire Grogan because of Gregory's Girl.
which is still my favourite film.
People just come up to me and say, "Are you Gregory's girl?" They never really use my name.
What do you want, dear?
I'm here for the trial.
Look, this is a football trial, dear. Maybe Miss McAlpine's up to something with a hockey team, I don't know. But this here is football. For boys.
That's right. Football trial's 11 a.m. I saw the notice.
It's the funniest film I've ever seen. It's still the funniest script. There's so many wonderful moments. The penguin that's never explained, that keeps the kid dressed as a penguin that keeps coming into the rooms and people go,
"Hey, room 4.
In a way, without being too grand about it, we're all penguins, sort of struggling to find our nest and struggling to find our mate.
Telo, dero. Oh, telo, dero. Chick Murray's fantastic in it. There's a wonderful bit where Chick Murray's playing the piano and stops to go, "Off you go, you small boys."
Off you go, you small boys.
Telo, dero.
Room 16?
And he goes out with that terrible girl who he's promised some chips to.
Look, I've got to go home. I really enjoyed the walk. You go that way, right, and I'll go this way. See you.
Hold it, Gregory. I thought we were going for chips.
Chips. OK.
It's 50p, you get plenty of chips with
that. Bye.
Don't be stupid. Come on, you're worse than my dad, and he's old. At least he's getting an excuse for being a prick.
When the film came out, I was actually shocked in those days at some of the language that was in it.
I still use some of the words from Gregory's Girl all the time. If ever an irritating person goes out of the room, I still go, "Yeah, arrivederci, Gordon, hurry back."
Arrivederci, Gordon. Hurry back. Bella, Bella.
Bella, Bella. Bella Ronaldo, Bella Gordon. I like to do something special on Saturday night. Bella, Bella!
It's such a funny film. Such a brilliant film about growing up. It's so true about being at school.
It just struck a chord with people. I mean, everybody had known a Gregory or knew a Gregory.
There's John Gordon Sinclair. He stars as Gregory, and he fancies this slightly tomboyish, good-looking girl who plays football. So, very appealing to me, you know.
She's gorgeous. She is absolutely gorgeous.
For me, Gregory, in his search for love, his absurd, desperate, longing passion for a girl who's way beyond him, that felt like real life to me.
Great. First class. You know, your son, girl. I haven't got near the ball yet, eh?
It's not, like your sort of Julia Roberts type movie where, it's all high gloss. It was kind of rugged.
Gregory's Girl was very much like one of these Blue Jeans or Oh Boy type love stories. You can imagine, the film cut into stills and put into those black and white sketchy magazines, really.
Would you like to come out with me?
OK.
I mean, a kind of date.
I said OK.
He instinctively fancies her because she's good-looking and she can play football, but, she's not actually really right for him. He needs a more eccentric woman, and that's what he ends up with.
How's the football going?
Oh, that's good. You need to cut that up a bit. It's a bit big.
What about the goalie, Gregory? What do you make of Gregory?
Little scene in the science lab where you have Claire Grogan and myself chatting about Gregory. Well, he's a bit slow and a bit awkward. Yeah, slow and awkward. And that's where we're meant to initiate this thing of me not turning up at the clock tower, but sort of passing him down the line so that he does actually end up with Claire. So that's the way it was manipulated.
Hello, Gregory. What are you up to? When I read the script the first time, I was like, OK, so I get to do the snogging and not the football. That's fine. Nobody's looking.
Gregory's Girl contains, for me, one of the most beautiful scenes of love and expression that I've ever seen, actually.
Do you want to dance? It's really good. You just lie flat down and dance.
There's this bit in Gregory's Girl where they lie on their backs and they look up at the stars, and
It's just fantastic.
We are clinging to the surface of this planet while it spins through space at 1,000 miles an hour, held only by the mystery force called gravity.
Wow.
A lot of people panic when you tell them that and they just fall off. But I see you're not falling off. That means you've got the hang of it. That means that you have got...
Natural ability.
Yeah. 1,000 miles an hour, eh?
Why are boys obsessed with numbers?
I think that some people grow up and they very sensibly want to be doctors or firemen or... I don't know. I always grew up with absolutely hideous delusions of grandeur.
Thursday night on BBC One, welcome to Top of the Pops, and also welcome to Claire, a movie star and a pop star with altered images. Over here.
She's really, really sexy, and she had a great song called Happy Birthday that she did with a band of hers.
I don't know how you could be a red-blooded male and have followed music and not fancy Claire Grogan.
The year I left school, the movie came out and our first album. And I had this record contract and I was making this movie, and then I was going home at night to my mum's to have my tea and do the washing up. The first outfit I ever wore on Top of the Pops, it was my sister's outfit. So her first reaction to her wee sister being on Top of the Pops is, "She's wearing my clothes!" And she didn't ask. I wanted everything. I really did, and I didn't see why I couldn't have it.
So young, and her career kind of happened very early. It must be difficult to succeed that young and then move on to things that are sort of less in the public eye.
It was so bizarre. It really was extraordinary and very, very exciting. And I just thought my life was going to continue like that.
So that's what we did for fun in 1981.
And in 2 weeks' time, it's 1982.